Do I really have to dress for my safety? Yes, you do have to dress for your safety. Hi, I'm Niki Murphy, EXP Realtor here in Southern Oregon. And I wanted to talk today about something that I think is really important for you as much it is for me. The next thing I want to talk about is how do we dress when we go out to a showing and we're going to meet a new client. Now, I'm a pants girl. I'm a Levi's girl from way back. I know if I could have gotten married in Levi's, I would have. My husband put his foot down on that one, but I would have. So I love me my tennis shoes or something of the like, comfortable high heels. I like to dress comfortable. However, I also know that there are appropriate times where I want to dress up. I want to wear high heels. I want to be more feminine or more professional, or I want to give a different statement of appearance. One of the things that's really important to know is sometimes wearing 3-inch spiky high heels out to a rural listing where you're going to meet somebody in the middle of nowhere on a 50-acre property might not be the best choice. First and foremost, let's talk about what we're going to do on a rural property. We're going to do a lot of walking. I'm going to be walking through stuff just like this. I'm going to, by the way, Emily is doing the camera work for me today. I want to say a big shout out for Emily Anderson. She's fantastic. So I'm going to have Emily do a pan of the surrounding woodlands. This is typical Southern Oregon topography. I would never come out here to show a property and wear high heels, a skirt, because obviously I don't want to traipse through this type of stuff. I'm going to wear shoes like this. I'm going to wear comfortable pants. It's going to be correct for the environment. But also back to the safety issue. If I have to run, I'm running in these. I can't run in 3-inch high heels. And I think that sometimes when we dress, and it's a sad statement, but it's the truth. Do I really have to dress for my safety? Yes, sometimes. Sometimes you do have to dress for your safety. Bring those heels for the next showing. But if you're going to be out here, wear boots, wear some of this stuff. If you go into a house, oftentimes they'll say, hey, either take your shoes off and wear your socks, or don't take your shoes off and wear booties. I'm a fan of taking my shoes and socks off. If I have to run in a house and I'm on socks and not my shoes, I have no traction. If I go to run across a tile floor, a hardwood floor, laminate flooring, I don't have any grip, and there's a good chance I'm going to slip and fall. Bare feet, I've got traction. If I've kept my shoes on, I have traction. And if I've got to run away from somebody and they've got their shoes on or they're in socks, we might be equal, but not if they're 6'2". They're going to outrun me. Again, I'm a shrimp boat. What am I going to do? This isn't a fun subject, and I'm sorry it's not a fun subject, but I think it's important for you. I think it's important for us to think about those things, because what do most realtors do? We come up to the door, and there's a door that says, please take your shoes off or wear these booties. There is a third option, taking your shoes and your socks off. As a realtor who's made a plan for my personal safety and probably discussed it with my buddy when we made our plan, I'm going to go ahead and go with option 3 and take my socks off. Now, my toes are polished today. Some days they're not. I don't care. My buyer's not looking at my feet. What I'd like to be able to do is concentrate on the home, concentrate on the attributes of the home and the property with my buyer, knowing that my awareness level of what's going on is on at all times. And as I'm walking through a property, oftentimes realtors will leave. They'll walk and leave, and they'll talk and leave. I do not do that. I'm going to lead by side. I want my new client in my eye line at all times as I'm demonstrating features of the house. I'm going to go ahead and continue to articulate comments about the property and the house to my client, and I have them in my eye line. I have never turned my back to them for any amount of extended period of time because I don't know what they're doing. This way I can still communicate with them. I still have my safety eye line, and I can still talk appropriately as a realtor. I also want to give a demonstration. This right here is about 6 feet between Emily and I. I like to maintain 6 feet. I think 6 feet is not only socially appropriate, but it's also safety conscious. There are so many different people after COVID that have different feelings about our personal bubble. That personal bubble came into play. We all learned that word, your bubble. Depending on who your client base is or who the client is you might be working with, we might have persons from different cultures. And in certain cultures, you maintain that bubble, you maintain that distance. It's a sign of respect, even to the point of not pointing. Years and years ago, I was fortunate enough to work in a 5-diamond resort way back in the day, in my younger days. And one of the things we were taught is you always indicate with an open hand, because there are certain cultures that pointing is the sign of evil, pointing is rude, pointing is authoritarian, it's instructional, but the sign of the open hand can do all of those things and we're not offensive. So I like the 6-foot bubble, and that spacing also gives me the ability to see the person's whole body. I can look at their body language. I can see their facial expression. If there's 2 persons, I don't care if it's a man and a woman, 2 men, 2 women, a man and a dog, whatever the case may be, I have the whole picture. And so in the back of my mind, safety first, I can see that as I'm discussing the home itself. I'm going to use this tree as an example of a bathroom, and I'm sorry we're not in a house, but I'm going to do actual demonstrations in the home later on. Let's say I'm going to show someone a bathroom. And most bathroom doors are about this wide. What a lot of folks do is they'll step into the bathroom and they'll say, and this is the tub, and as soon as the buyer steps into the bathroom, you're immediately within 1.5 feet of each other. Unless you're in a gargantuan bathroom, you've just lost all that personal safety. And 99% of the time in a bathroom, there's only one exit. It's the door you just came through. And if you're lucky, there's a small ventilating window behind you above the shower, above the toilet. So what I like to do is I'm going to step back into the hallway. Again, I've got my buyer in my peripheral vision, and I'm going to step down the hallway. I've got an open door. I know where another room is, and I'm going to indicate to them with an open hand, this is the bathroom. Feel free to step in. As soon as the buyer steps into that, I will actually step back and I will let them go in. Now again, this doesn't work perfectly in every single home. A traditional 1,800 square foot home, our typical hallways are 3 or 4 feet wide. At some point you're gonna pass each other, but hopefully at a certain point within your showing, you've developed a sense. Does this feel right? And I'm gonna go back to the gut that we haven't talked about. Because at some point in the showing, you're gonna come within a proximity of the person closer than 6 feet. We can't help it. We pass each other in a hallway. You want to step out of the way to let them step into a bathroom. Maybe the bathroom door is here and the hallway door is here, so I've got to step back into a bedroom that only has 1 or 2 windows while they step into the bathroom. I've lost that 6 foot in spacing between us, but I've still got other tools, which we're going to get to, but I'm trying to maintain that. Generally, if your gut says things feel odd, what a lot of people do, this is men and women, we override it with what we're thinking. And we've all heard it. You know, I just had this really weird feeling, but then I started thinking, and they finished the sentence. I started thinking, there's no way, it's so-and-so. I started thinking, that couldn't be. This is a really nice neighborhood. If your gut is telling you at any point in the showing or in your interactions with the client, leave. And you can leave without having to say a word to them. Literally, you just go on down the hallway again, let them know my phone's ringing, I've got to take a call. Give me just 1 second, I'll be right back. Lie. Feel free to say a lie to get out the door. You don't have to start apologizing in the hallway. You don't have to tell them you're feeling uncomfortable. Step number 1 in this scenario, if you get a feeling that's wrong, get outside. Outside, if you start yelling and screaming, somebody's going to hear you. Hopefully, even in an environment like this, there's people an acre or two over. And we're going to talk about the buddy system going to rural properties with buddies. But let's talk about a scenario right now as if we were in town and we're in that 1,800 square foot home. So my gut goes off in the hallway and I'm like, I'm just getting a weird vibe. This person's just looking at me weird. I'm just not getting the typical engagement that I would. I want you to know it's okay to believe your gut over your head. Don't ever feel that you're going to insult a potential buyer because you step outside because you feel uncomfortable. We're talking about your personal safety. If that's a truly committed buyer and they love the house, trust me, they're going to buy the house. So I'm down the hall. I got a text coming in, a phone call. Get outside that front door and get your buddy on the phone. Get somebody on the phone. And then what you can do is you can say, hey, I'm just getting this weird vibe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open the front door and I'm going to let this buyer know they can continue on or they need to step outside with me. There's a multitude of ways to handle this. The first one, if it's a vacant home, is you can let the buyer know that you've stepped outside. Now, technically, we're supposed to be with a buyer during the home. We're not supposed to leave the buyers alone in the home. But am I going to go inside a house and drag this buyer who's just made me uncomfortable out by their hair? No. Am I going to yell at them to get out of the house? Get out of the house. You're making me feel uncomfortable. No. I'm going to go ahead and keep my person on the phone and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to open the door and let this buyer know that I'm going to complete my call outside and I'm going to let them know to meet me outside. So-and-so, I'm going to have this call. I'm right here at the door. Let me know if you've got any questions. Do not step back into that house. If you're uncomfortable, there's a reason. We are hardwired, going back to the days of fight or flight, to still pick up on things. I know we have an iPhone, we've got a car, you know, we belong to a gym, but we still have innately hardwired into us the ability to pick up and sense danger. So now I've got my buddy on the phone. Now, the next thing I want to know is, where's my vehicle? Do I need to move to my vehicle? So I'm going to back up to the beginning of the showing. Never put your keys down. Never put your keys down on the counter. Don't dump your purse. Set your phone down so you can talk. Don't fill your hands with a whole bunch of paperwork and their coat and their stuff. If they have a coat, tell them to set it down. If they've got a purse, tell them to set it down. Keep your keys and your phone on your person at all times. Because ultimately, if you have to lock yourself in a bathroom or a bedroom or a closet, because that's the quickest safety position you can get to, A, they can't steal your car and reposition your car. B, if you do make it outside, you still have an exit plan because you can get to your car. And 3, or C, what do most of us have on our keychains these days? That emergency button. You push that emergency button on your keychain, what happens to your car alarm? Blah, 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 blah. So now you're locked in a closet, God forbid, but your car alarm is going off outside. This perpetrator on the other side of the closet door doesn't want that. Now you've announced to the neighborhood, you've announced to the rural community, there's a car alarm going off, and they don't shut off. I think they take like 10 or 15 minutes to shut off. You can still reactivate it because you've got your button. You've got your cell phone. You're in this closet, you've barricaded yourself in a bedroom, but you need to reach outside help. You can do that by dialing 911, because at that point, that's what you need to do. You can send text messages to 50 people. You can reach out to your buddy, whatever it is. Those 2 modes are your biggest and best ability to give you a safety exit. Now, if you had a 3rd item on your person, let's say one of those pieces of jewelry, bear mace, shoot the bear mace underneath the door. Don't open the door. Have it at the ready. If you've got some gun, feel free to tell the perpetrator on the other side of the door, hey, I'm packing a .32 Smith & Wesson, and if you go to kick the door in, I'm going to defend myself. Record this. Do anything you need to do to be proactive in your safety.